We're working on a Yamaha 1995 650 Waverunner. It won't run on its own, it'll only run on a prime. So we're going to take the carburetor apart and see what the issue is.
This bottom line right here is a fuel inlet. This top one is the fuel return. This one over here goes down the crankcase is the pulse line that operates the fuel pump diaphragm. Rick, can you see? We're going to lift this up and turn it to the side like that and pull. There's our carburetor. Somebody's had this off before and they stripped the screw out right there. We had to put a longer screw and nut behind it. Alright, so we'll take this to the workbench, tear it apart and see why it won't run. We're going to put this rag right here to keep anything from getting in our engine while we're not working on it. Okay, we got this on the workbench here, so we're going to take it apart and see why it's not pumping fuel, why it's not getting fuel through it. We got our meter inside right here. It's got our meter and diaphragm in it. This is our fuel pump side, fuel in, fuel out, and then the pulse line that operates the fuel pump diaphragm. So we'll get this taken apart here. Take this diaphragm cover off here. And you can see our diaphragm is kind of stiff and dry and dried out. It hadn't had any fuel on it in a while. And we have our metering lever there. And we'll also take this cover off here and look at the jets, make sure they're clean. It's hard to see, but there's a clear high-speed check valve right here that comes in our kit. Okay, now we're going to take our fuel pump side off. Alright, we're taking our fuel pump side off here. All these diaphragms are just hard as a rock. They hadn't been pumping any fuel in a long time. The diaphragms are no good. They're all stiff. You can see our little fuel pump check valves here. And we have a fuel filter right there that's clogged up and dirty. So now we're going to just clean this up real good. And then we'll start putting it back together once we get it good and clean. We're going to clean all this out here and clean this out and blow it out, make sure these jets are open up. Then we'll put new fuel pump diaphragms, new metering diaphragms. Okay, we got our carburetor cleaned up. We're going to replace this small plastic high-speed check valve right here. I know it's hard to see, but there's just a small piece of plastic that covers that hole. We're going to replace that. Okay, now we're ready for our metering diaphragm. I like to use a little WD-40 on it. Just helps it seal. When you're tightening it down, it helps it seal better. You want to pull all these screws down together. Don't tighten them out of order. Just pull them all down about the same time. Okay, now we're going to work on the fuel pump side. Here's our fuel filter. We're going to drop that in there. Once again, I like a little WD-40 on there. Just helps everything set down better. Okay, we got our new check valve, fuel pump check valves installed. These little rubber pieces just push down through the clear plastic check valves. So we got new ones that we just installed. Alright, we're going to start putting our fuel pump side back together. We got our O-ring down. We've got that piece. This piece. And this is our new O-ring with a little bit of WD-40 on it. Our cover with our new gasket and the diaphragm goes like so. Okay, now we're ready to put our carburetor back on our jet ski and test it out. Okay, we're putting the carburetor back on. We're going to see what happens here. We're going to hook our throttle and our choke up before we set it on there. We've already flushed all our old fuel out, put new plugs in it. We're going to put a new fuel filter on it. We're going to close that choke up just to keep us from dropping stuff in it. Alright, we got a carburetor back on, we got a choke hooked up. Got our throttle hooked up. So we're going to hook our lines up. We got a main fuel line which hooks on the bottom. We have our return line that hooks right above it. Then we have our pulse line that operates the fuel pump. Alright, we got our carburetor on, new plugs in, new fuel filter, all our lines hooked up. I'll put this piece on there. Okay, we're going to add some fuel now and test it out and see if we can crank it up before we put the cover on there. Alright, hit the starter one time.